Small business relief in the UAE corporate tax regime. Overview of small business relief. Small business relief offers eligible UAE businesses a means to reduce their corporate tax liability and compliance expenses under the corporate tax regime. This relief primarily reduces the administrative burden of calculating and paying corporate tax during relevant tax periods when specific conditions are satisfied. To qualify, a taxable person must have revenue equal to or below AED 3 million in a relevant tax period as well as in all preceding tax periods ending on or before 31st December 2026. Eligible businesses can opt to be treated as having no taxable income for such periods, which means they are not required to calculate their taxable income for that tax period. Complete a full corporate tax return for that period. Treatment of tax losses and disallowed net interest expenditure. When a taxable person elects to benefit from small business relief, they retain the ability to carry forward any unutilized tax losses and disallowed net interest expenditure from prior tax periods for future use. These can be applied in subsequent tax periods when small business relief no longer applies, subject to the applicable conditions. Eligibility criteria for small business relief. To be eligible for this relief, the taxable person must satisfy certain criteria. 1. The taxable person must not be a constituent company of a multinational enterprise, M&E, group that is required to prepare a country-by-country report, CBCR, under UAE legislation. 2. A qualifying free zone person cannot avail themselves of small business relief. Transfer pricing implications. For any tax period in which a resident person opts for small business relief, they are exempt from maintaining transfer pricing documentation, if applicable. However, the arm's length principle must still be adhered to in their transactions. For further information on small business relief provisions, it is recommended to refer to Ministerial Decision No. 73 of 2023 on small business relief as well as the Corporate Tax Guide on small business relief. Practical examples of small business relief. Example 27. Electing for small business relief. Scenario: Mr. X runs a business in Abu Dhabi and qualifies as a resident person for corporate tax purposes. His tax period concludes on 31st December each year. To date, Mr. X's revenue has never surpassed the AED 3 million threshold for small business relief in any tax period. For the most recent tax period ending 31st December 2025, Mr. X's revenue was AED 2 million. Eligibility and election. Since Mr. X's revenue for the 31st December 2025 tax period is below AED 3 million and all prior tax periods also meet this criterion, Mr. X is eligible for small business relief. To benefit, he must make an election in his tax return. Result: by electing for small business relief, Mr. X will be treated as having no taxable income for the 31st December 2025 tax period. Consequently, he will not need to calculate his taxable income or pay any corporate tax for that tax period. Example 28. Carried forward unutilized tax losses when electing for small business relief. Scenario: C LLC is a UAE resident company. During the tax period ending 31st December 2025, C LLC's revenue amounted to AED 1,700,000. At the start of the period, C LLC carried unutilized tax losses totaling AED 400,000. The previous year's revenue also did not exceed the AED 3 million threshold for small business relief. Election and carry forward. C LLC elects for small business relief for the tax period ending 31st December 2025. Although C LLC's carried forward tax losses cannot be utilized in this tax period, they can be carried forward for potential use in future tax periods when small business relief is not applied, provided that all conditions are met. Future scenario: in the subsequent tax period ending 31st December 2026, C LLC sold a factory to B LLC for AED 5 million, causing its revenue to exceed the AED 3 million relief threshold. As a result, C LLC becomes ineligible for small business relief for the 31st December 2026 tax period. Tax calculation: C LLC will need to determine its taxable income for the 31st December 2026 tax period. If there is positive taxable income, C LLC may utilize its AED 400,000 in carried forward tax losses, subject to the 75% utilization restriction. Any remaining taxable income, in excess of AED 375,000, will be subject to the 9% corporate tax rate.